All right, everyone. The Huffington Post is not known for its intellectual rigor. They're constantly promoting different individuals according to their partisan agenda. It's no different than like a Breitbart or something, only more cringy at times. And so they run weird articles quite often. It's a little bit like a salon thing. Human interest stories. Look at how cute. Hillary Clinton petting a dog for 30 seconds. Oh my God. Yas Queen Slay. That sort of bullshit. So I wasn't surprised when they promote Kamalaharris here in a fluff piece talking about how she annihilated Donald Trump Jr. He tried to get in and jab her and make a joke about her, but she taught him a lesson because she's a strong, empowered black woman. And how funny that was. Huffington Post is still pretending that Kamala Harris is relevant. She slipped to 5th place in the race with no real hope of rising back up. At this point, if you look at the Dem field, because it's so fractured, until people start dropping out, the numbers should remain relatively stable, except maybe among Biden and Warren. That particular segment of the field is more malleable. At the bottom, you've got remarkable stability. A lot of people hovering at 1 or 2% and clogging up the field and taking about 20% of the entire voting base away from the candidates who are viable. You then have Kamala and Buttigieg rounding out those top 5. They're only in the mid-single digits. Buttigieg is in 4th place in a race where he's only hovering around 5 or 6% of the vote. That's not a strong place to be. Now, I personally think that if he were to change his strategy just a little, he could shoot up into the double digits, become viable, especially because Bernie Sanders is very likely to suffer attrition in the wake of having a heart attack. Polling does slightly show that at the moment. We're going to have to keep an eye on it probably over the next week or two as we get more aggregated results. If he starts slipping in New Hampshire, it's basically curtains for him. Kamala Harris, though, peaked a long time ago. She did a Carly Fiorina. Carly Fiorina 2016. What happened with her? Again, look to the past to see the future within this sort of political cycle. Carly Fiorina, relative unknown, hovering at 2 or 3%. She comes out on top at the kiddie table debate. I can't remember which network was hosting it. I think that was a Fox debate. She's at the kiddie table along with all the other sub 5 or 6% candidates. She does well. She distinguishes herself as the best of the losers, essentially. She rockets ahead by 5-6 points. All of a sudden, she starts to look viable, and they're saying, wow, we finally found the anti-Trump. Marco Rubio couldn't do it. Chris Christie couldn't do it. Ben Carson couldn't do it. It's Carly Fiorina. Yay! She's going to be the first female president. It was never going to happen. And I pointed this out. When a candidate spikes very quickly, it precedes a fall almost all of the time. Trump is one of the few people who didn't have this happen, and for a while it looked like that might happen to him as well. Trump just capitalized on it more readily. Kamala Harris didn't. Much like Carly Fiorina. She rockets ahead, she gets some extra donations, thinks she's on cloud 9, but ultimately doesn't change her behavior at all. And so she was never taken seriously. Within a couple of weeks, she began to recede. This is what happened to Harris. It took her less than a week within the aggregated cycle to begin slipping again. She was arguably tied for 2nd place for a brief moment in time. She's already peaked. She's not capable of winning those people back. They left her for a reason. She's no longer viable. This doesn't happen at the top of the field. Biden has gone up and down, Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren. These 3 who are the true viable candidates are stealing votes from one another on a day-to-day basis because there's a lot of soft support that simply wants someone who's viable and electable. Well, they're not going to support Kamala Harris. She's in 5th place. If you care about electability, you're going for someone at the top. The only thing at this point that can prevent the top of the field, and Buttigieg is maybe close enough to cut it, and I don't know that he is, but there's a possibility. Kamala Harris has definitely dropped below that. She's below 5, put a sock in it, you're done. The only thing that can happen now is that someone does really well and has a Trump moment, manages to break out of the single digits and stay there. That is, they have to build a strong coalition, which would have to eke away at one of the top-tier candidates. Or one of the top-tier candidates has a health problem, drops out, or somebody new gets into the race. Like if Michelle Obama decided to run inexplicably, or it's Hillary Clinton, 3rd time's a charm, 2020, ha ha ha, I beat Trump once, I can beat him again, this time in the Electoral College too. But the thing is, it's not likely. It's possible, but you're getting on towards the 4th debate here. I mean, how long can you friggin' wait? For Hillary Clinton, the only way she could probably win is if she waited till all the debates were over and half the primaries were done before getting in, so she wouldn't have to face anyone on stage. Then she'd just call in all of her favors. All those super delegates would suddenly flip and support Hillary and make up some lame-ass excuse as to why the inevitable nominee, who's likely Biden or Warren, was unelectable. If it was Biden, it'd be easier to make that selling point. A lot of people just really pathologically hate the dude. I wonder why. Could it be that his only selling point is, hey, I was Obama's VP? But Kamalaharris, she was never a viable alternative. There were people when she was rising at first. A lot of people got worried and they said, oh, yeah, Hillary Clinton coronated Kamalaharris. She's the Clinton choice. She'll be the nominee. And I said, no, she's having a Ben Carson moment is what's happening. She's going to rise up. She'll rise up to the top tier, but she's not going to build a hardened voting coalition because it's just the fact that she had a good debate performance. Well, that's not a platform. It's not a policy position. It's just that she happened to do better than the other people there at the first debate. So right out of the gate, she peaks, she begins to recede, now she's in 5th. On any given week, she could fall to 6th or 7th place, too. She does have a small hardened coalition. It's not that there aren't, potentially some hundreds of thousands, maybe 1 million or 2 voters that really like Kamala Harris, but it's not enough. They can only donate so much money to her before she's got a bare-bones campaign. The problem is, for a corporate candidate like corporate Kamala Harris, it's going to be more difficult. She's not Bernie Sanders. She's not running a largely grassroots effort. She's not an Andrew Yang. She doesn't have one of those newer wave streamlined campaigns. She's more like a Warren. But she doesn't have Warren's huge Senate war chest to run on now, does she? She didn't think that far ahead. Warren's been building her coalition for years. You've got these different people. Biden's running on his name and the fact that he's associated with Obama. Sanders is running on his 2016 era grassroots formulation. He already had hundreds of thousands of volunteers in place before the race began, before he declared. Elizabeth Warren has her Senate money and some endorsements at the high level. What does Kamala have? None of these things. She's not running a grassroots populistic campaign. She doesn't have a lot of corporate donors. She's certainly not nearly the most charismatic. She wouldn't be able to out-debate Elizabeth Warren one-on-one. She's a low mid-tier debater at best. She's not very charismatic, and she's not one of the rich candidates. She's fucking done. She's incapable of being the nominee. Also, is it her or Tulsi Gabbard that's a triple minority? I think that might be a little bit much for a lot of those white Democratic voters in the Rust Belt that really need to be targeted. Sometimes you have to think about pragmatism rather than idealism. The Republicans usually have this problem. The Democrats are suffering from it real bad right now. They've got orange man bad syndrome, so they think it'll be easy. Harry Reid came out the other day and warned the Democrats, look, if you think 2020 is a cakewalk, you're nuts. Don't underestimate Trump. He's a very, very smart man. He's trying to warn them. Harry Reid, who left the party, one of the last intelligent Democrats strategically, you don't have to like the dude, but has more intelligence certainly than the AOC types, he's warning them, Trump is going to fuck you. Trump is going to take you from behind in Buttigieg ways if you're not careful. And I think that's what's likely to happen. Unfortunately, the DNC is led by a coward. The U.S. House of Representatives, the Speaker of the House, Pelosi, is a has-been, essentially, who wants to cling to irrelevance. She'd love to be president, but knows that'll never happen. She's a little bit past her prime, let's just say. She might as well get in, though. Pelosi might as well throw her hat in the ring tomorrow and say, yeah, I want to be president of the United States. Who cares? Your 3 front runners are already in their 70s anyway. I think she'd be in the middle of the pack, isn't she? She's like 75, 76 or something, isn't she? And she's the only one of them, by the way, that's doing well age-wise. I guess Elizabeth Warren, she's a little bit younger. She's closer to 69 than her 80s, but, that's not exactly saying much. The Dem field, the average age of the top tier of their field is, wouldn't it be 74 or 75 years old for the upper echelon? That's a little bit older than Trump is. His age was an issue. Kamalaharris has that's basically the only advantage she has, is that she's at that sweet spot where she's old enough to have experience but young enough to still walk around without a walker. Because I think she's 56 or 7 or something. That's the only advantage she has. And then the 5th place person's 38. I think Buttigieg would be the youngest president, wouldn't he? TDR was 39. Okay, that would be, I think, the same. Clinton was like 41, Obama was like 40 or something. I think those were all the younger ones. Which other ones were on the younger side? Most of them have been old. Most of them have been in their 60s, actually. Yeah. Kamala Harris has age. That's her selling point. Hey, guys, this is her new campaign slogan. I'm neither too young nor too old. I've got gray hairs, but not too many of them. Should be your next campaign slogan. The Huffpost comes out, acts like she annihilated Donald Trump Jr. only if you're a Kamala Harris fan. Or if you've got Trump derangement syndrome. But those people, their votes are already spoken for, so what does this have to do with the election? Those people have already made up their minds completely who they're going to vote for. There's no chance that someone who believes, Yas Queen, Kamala annihilating Donald Trump Jr., do you really think that that person is going to be potentially a Trump voter? It's not going to happen, and they probably don't read the Huffington Post anyway. That's about all. Peace out.